Hey everybody, it's Rockula and welcome back to Rockula Retrospective. This is day 14 of my VEDA series, 30 bands in 30 days, and today's band is Iron Maiden. The one genre of music that is a constant in my development is heavy metal. The thing that attracted a young teenage boy was obviously the power, but there was another underlying philosophy in metal. Many of the metal bands spoke of the same thing that the punk bands did, in that they wanted to push the boundaries and see what new ideas would come from it. Many metal bands chose to push boundaries by being dirty and debaucherous heathens whose sole aim was to consume as much sex, drugs, and rock and roll as they could before they died. But there was a more progressive philosophy running through metal, and Iron Maiden was at the top of that mountain. Their lyrics were more cerebral, and there was an absence of songs about drug-filled groupie orgies. Not only that, but the musicianship was light years ahead of all the others. The bass playing is especially considered to be some of the best in the entire genre. I talk a lot about heavy metal in this series, and yet I am only including one metal band on this list. Mostly because the metal bands that I did like are Slayer and Metallica, and there are a million reviews on those bands already. Metal as a whole is more influential than just one of the bands, but Iron Maiden occupies the same place as Rush in my development, because that's where I really started to identify with technically proficient music and lots of time changes. Up until this point, the only Iron Maiden song I ever heard was Number of the Beast, which I had taped along with a bunch of other metal songs from Headbangers Heaven on 97.1 The Eagle. But then I bought Peace of Mind for my school ski trip in '83 and listened to it over and over. Every track is great, but I have to say that The Flight of Icarus and The Trooper have been worn so thin that I skip them every time I listen to this album. My favorites are Sun and Steel and Where Eagles Dare with that amazing drum intro. I became a fan just as they were releasing Power Slave. Not only did I buy the album as soon as it came out, but I went to see the tour when they came through to Reunion Arena. I still count that as one of the greatest concerts I've ever attended. The standout tracks for me were Aces High, Power Slave, and the greatest Iron Maiden song of all time, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. I didn't care for 2 Minutes to Midnight, and it seems like I tend to dislike their other hits, if you can consider any Maiden songs a hit. I never bought Number of the Beast, but I taped it off a friend. This album is heralded as the greatest Iron Maiden album of all time, but I don't see it any better as any of the others. I think it is the importance of the album that elevates it so much in other people's opinion. Once again, I don't care for the popular track Run to the Hills. Hallowed Be My Name is my favorite track. The live version is the best, and I ripped off the intro for the intro of one of the Autonomy songs. I won't tell you which one it is, you'll just have to figure it out for yourself. Speaking of live versions, I bought Live After Death, both the video and the album, just as they came out. My favorite track is the live version of Phantom of the Opera, but the entire performance is amazing. I can't pinpoint the exact time when I bought the first album, but I noticed it was a lot more raw and the singer was different. It was probably just when I got into high school because I was also starting to listen to punk bands other than the Ramones. This early Iron Maiden sounded a lot more punk than the later albums. Somewhere in time was the moment where my enthusiasm for Iron Maiden started to wane. I bought the album and went to the concert, but I was starting to become influenced by a new crop of metal bands like Metallica and Slayer. My last album is Killers, and it's one of my favorites. It seems that I find myself listening to the first two albums more than the later albums, and Killers has the perfect blend of the early rawness with technical execution. Every track on this album is good. That's my take on Iron Maiden. I'm sure I left out a ton of stuff, so please let me know in the comments what you think of Iron Maiden. I'd also like it if you subscribed, shared, and liked this video. Thanks for watching my VEDA series 30 Bands in 30 Days. Tomorrow is day 15, and the band is Killing Joke. I'm Rockula, and this is Rockula Retrospective.